With 2020 well underway, the gateway to hell is once again about to be opened, unleashing hordes of demons on the world once more. Providing there are no further delays, Doom Eternal is set to release on the 20th of March, and what better way to prepare than to take a look back at where it all began. In this two-part video, we're going to cover a brief history of the original 1993 version of Doom, including its initial development and release, the console ports, and what it took to get the games working on them. We'll also look at Doom's lasting legacy that still continues to this day. My name's Gotcake, and this is SOS RetroView. The original Doom began development in September 1992 for MS-DOS, with Tom Hall's Doom Babel completed in November that year. In total, it took around 15 months to create. It was released for free as shareware in December 1993, initially on the FTP servers at University of Wisconsin. Since then, Doom has been credited with pioneering some of today's gaming staples, such as 3D graphics, multiplayer gaming, online digital game distribution, and custom game mods. The terms FPS and Deathmatch didn't even exist before Doom was created. Developed by the team at id Software, who were also responsible for producing Doom's predecessor and the origination of another well-known game franchise, Wolfenstein, Doom quickly gained popularity and was played by over an estimated 15 million people within 2 years of its release. There were 10 people in the id Software team at the time who worked on Doom's shareware version, with several other people drafted in to work on various aspects of the game. With Jay Wilbur acting as project director, John Carmack and John Romero programmed the main game, with David Taylor adding extras such as the HUD, auto map and level transitions. Carmack was also the one who came up with the game's name. Level design was handled mainly by John Romero, with the assistance of Sandy Peterson, who also designed the final level of Episode 1. Adrian Carmack and Kevin Cloud were the chief artists behind Doom's graphics. The majority of the sprites for Doom were drawn by hand, but several of them were digitised from sculptures. John Carmack created a custom animation and paint program called Fuzzy Pumper's Palette Shop, which allowed him to convert photographs of the sculptures into digital sprites to be used in the game. Don Punchatz contributed to both the package art and Doom logo, and his son Greg Punchatz created several of the clay models used as monsters in the game, including the Spider Mastermind. Many of the weapons found in the game are actually based on photographs of toys bought from Toys R Us. The game's chainsaw was modelled after McCulloch Eager Beaver chainsaw, which was borrowed from Tom Hall's girlfriend. Music and sound effects for the game were composed by Bobby Prince, who had previously worked on the sound design for Wolfenstein 3D. John Romero worked closely with Prince, assigning music tracks to levels and creating the monster sound effects. Sean Green was responsible for managing ports of the game to several other platforms including Windows 95, the Atari Jaguar and PlayStation. Tom Hall, who had been the creative director at id Software since its inception, conducted a lot of research for level designs and gameplay elements of the game. He produced a document titled The Doom Bible, which outlined the concepts for a completely different 6-episode Doom game with a more elaborate plot. Conflicts of interest between Hall and the rest of the id Software team over story elements and game direction saw Hall become more distant and uninspired. He decided to resign from the development team in August of 1993, though several of his ideas were retained and used in the final game. The initial shareware version of the game contained Doom's first episode titled Knee Deep in the Dead, and it featured 9 levels, 8 of which were designed exclusively by John Romero. The plot of the first episode revolves around a space marine known only as Doom Guy, who is stranded alone on Phobos, a moon of Mars. With his fellow marines now dead or possessed, he must fight his way through the hordes of demons and zombies now plaguing the various UAC buildings to uncover the source of the evil. Eventually he reaches the Anomaly, a portal between Phobos and another moon of Mars, Deimos, which is guarded by 2 powerful demons known as the Barons of Hell. After defeating the demons, he stepped through the gateway to Deimos and episode 1 of Doom ends. A message is then displayed, informing the player that this is not the end of Doom and that the story will continue in episode 2, The Shores of Hell, and its sequel, Inferno. The initial 9 maps included in episode 1 are some of the most well-known and iconic maps in Doom history. The colour palette made heavy use of saturated browns and greens found in the Stars texture set, a set which would be utilised in several future maps and many fan-made levels wanting to retain Doom's original aesthetic. Following on from Doom's shareware success, a mail order version was distributed which contained the next 2 episodes, The Shores of Hell and Inferno. Each contained 8 new levels and 1 secret 9th level, as well as an end of episode boss. In the Shores of Hell, the story continues on Deimos, which has been teleported from its orbit around Mars and now floats above Hell. Here, the Doom guy finds more UAC installations which have been twisted and partially altered by the demonic forces which now inhabit them. He also learns that the teleportation technology being researched in the facilities now serves as an interdimensional gateway through which the legions of Hell can invade. The naming of the buildings suggests that only 4 of them are originally UAC constructions, and that the rest are of demonic nature. After fighting through the hordes, once more Doom Guy finds himself face to face with the demon lord that now rules Deimos Moonbase, the Cyber Demon. Upon slaying the Cyber Demon, our protagonist looks down over the edge of the moon and sees the surface of Hell. Left with no other choice but to continue onward, he rappels down in the hopes of finding a means of escape. The final episode of Doom is titled Inferno, after the first part of the Italian poem The Divine Comedy, with Inferno being the Italian word for Hell. Inferno sees Doom Guy traversing the inner regions of Hell, fighting through further hordes of demons determined to uncover the source of the invasion. The environments are littered with demonic effigies, hellish landscapes and pools of blood and lava. Upon reaching the heart of Hell itself, Doom Guy comes face to face with the mastermind behind the invasion, the Spider Demon. Also known as the Spider Mastermind, this demon is a twisted abomination with a mechanised spider-like chassis and bulbous brain with demonic features. Doom Guy fights and eventually destroys the Spider Demon, after which a hidden doorway is revealed, through which Doom Guy steps. Emerging on the other side, he is surrounded by the green fields of Earth. He has returned home at last. This is where the original 3 Doom episodes end. Doom quickly became one of the most genre-defining FPS titles of all time and set the bar for what a first-person shooter should be. Owing to Doom's popularity, in the years following its release, the gaming scene saw a huge influx in FPS games, and the term Doom clones was coined due to many of these games sharing similarities with Doom. Iconic titles such as Duke Nukem 3D, Star Wars Dark Forces, and the Alien trilogy were among these. And several of the games released such as 1994's Heretic, its 1995 sequel Hexen Beyond Heretic, and 1996 Strife Quest for the Sigil even utilised Doom's engine. Following its 1993 MS-DOS release, development began on porting Doom to both desktop computers and home consoles. From 1994 onward, many different computer operating systems such as Mac OS, Linux and Microsoft Windows saw releases. Due to the hardware limitations in comparison with desktop PCs, many console versions of the game had to be modified and game content was often sacrificed in exchange for stability and performance. The first console ports of Doom were to the Sega 32X and the Atari Jaguar in November 1994. The Sega 32X version, released on the 21st of November 1994, featured only 17 of the 18 levels from episodes 1 and 2 and none from episode 3. These levels were ported from the Jaguar version of the game. Notably, both the Cyber Demon and Spider Mastermind bosses, as well as the Spectre Demon, are also missing. The game included a level select option, allowing players to start on any of the first 15 levels, but provides no way of saving the game and no settings option. Due to there being no third episode levels, the legendary gun that is the BFG 9000 was unobtainable through normal play and could only be accessed via cheat codes. In addition to these changes, there was also no multiplayer support. The game didn't play in full screen and only contained front-facing sprites for the monsters. The soundtrack of this version of the game is also considered to be inferior compared to other ports. And many sound effects are missing. This is mainly due to poor use of the Genesis sound chip. Although it was the first official port to begin development, Doom's next release came a week later on November the 28th, on what was to be the Atari Corporation's final console, the Atari Jaguar. It contained 22 of the PC's original 27 levels, all of which had to be modified to run smoothly on the console. Level geometry through the game was also simpler, and several maps had large portions of them removed to reduce their size. There was also less texture variation in the Jaguar version, and many of the maps featured entirely new, different textures. In addition to the 22 PC maps, there are also 2 new maps added, which took the names of the PC maps Tower of Babel and Hellkeep, but they were entirely different. To add to the confusion, the Fortress of Mystery PC map was also renamed to Dis in the Jaguar version of the game. Both the Spider Demon and Cyber Demon bosses were removed from the game, as well as the partial invisibility and light amplification items, and spectres were rendered without the partial invisibility effect, making them indistinguishable from regular demons. One major difference with the Jaguar version of Doom, which is not found with any other console port, is the omission of music during gameplay. The DSP chip used by the Jaguar to handle its sound processing also acted in part as a CPU to make up for the Jaguar's flawed CPU memory controller, and it was used in Doom to handle most of the collision detection amongst other things. This meant that the DSP chip was not able to process music as well as handling these other game functions, and so it left the Jaguar version of the game void of its iconic heavy metal soundtrack. A notable feature specific to the Jaguar version comes courtesy of its Behemoth controller. Every 90s gamer remembers the controller which was released with the original Xbox in 2001, but few know of the Duke's lightweight stepbrother. With its plethora of face buttons, the Jaguar controller had dedicated buttons for switching between weapons and accessing the map. As with the other Jaguar games, Doom came with a controller faceplate which handily displayed each weapon's button. However, despite the controller having 15 buttons, not counting the D-pad, start and select buttons, there were no dedicated strafe buttons, and this functionality was bound to the same button as the action button, requiring the player to hold the C button and the direction button in order to strafe. Jaguar Doom featured 2-player co-op and deathmatch modes via JagLink, and allowed players to choose to start on any map, though it didn't allow saving during maps. Almost a year later, Doom was released for the SNES in September of 1995. Similar to the Jaguar version, it also contained 22 PC levels, and they bore a closer resemblance to the PC levels compared to other ports. With the SNES Doom port, a different set of 5 levels were missing in exchange for 5 levels that were left out of the Atari Jaguar version, these being the 2 missing Cyber Demon and Spider Boss levels and 3 secret levels, making the SNES release of Doom the only console release of the original game to feature all 5 of these original PC levels. Unlike the Jaguar and 32X versions, the SNES port featured no level select, game saves or password system, meaning that players must complete each episode from the beginning. For SNES Doom, a new game engine known as Reality Engine was developed. Like the 32X version, the game doesn't run in full screen, and enemy sprites are only rendered from the front. Owing to this fact, there is also no monster infighting or friendly fire. Due to SNES hardware limitations, other noticeable graphical differences within the game include the lack of particle effects such as blood impacts, smoke and bullet sparks. Enemies, scenery and items also become pixelated the further away they are, which often results in them becoming indistinguishable from the scenery at long distances. In addition, floors and ceilings are not texture mapped, and the Spectre enemy was also removed from the game, likely due to its partial invisibility effect. Instead, they're replaced by normal demons. While the SNES port wasn't received favourably by fans, praise was given to the port's music, which was vastly superior when compared with the 32X and the Jaguar versions of the game. One feature unique to this part of the game is its use of the SNES Super FX chip to enable the automap to be rotated round the player instead of the player just appearing as an arrow as seen in other parts of the game. In April 1995, an updated version of Doom was released. Branded as The Ultimate Doom, it saw a 4th 9-level episode added titled Thy Flesh Consumed, comprised of 7 regular levels, 1 secret level and 1 boss level. With the exception of the secret level Fear, all level titles, as well as the episode title itself, are phrases taken directly from the Bible. Thy Flesh Consumed bridged the gap between Doom and Doom 2. The expansion acted as an incentive to buy boxed versions of the game in retail stores and venues. Fans who had previously registered the original copies of Doom were provided with a free patch which upgraded the game to the Ultimate Doom. In Thy Flesh Consumed, Doom Guy finds himself back on Earth and his pet rabbit Daisy is dead. It is revealed that before his final fight with the Spider Mastermind, the gate between Hell and Earth was opened and demon forces were sent forth to invade the planet. Doom Guy is out for revenge and launches an assault against the demons. Battling through maze-like fortresses, he finally makes his way to the final boss of episode 4, the towering triple-headed cyberspace demon Rex. Only kidding, it's just another Spider Mastermind. Upon defeating the Spider Mastermind, Doom Guy learns that despite his efforts, The invading demons have already overrun all of Earth's major cities. The end of episode message hints at the next episode, and what was to be the first episode of Doom 2, Hell on Earth. During the development of episode 4, id Software were also working on several other projects including Doom 2, which had actually released in September of the previous year. Due to this, the fourth episode is criticised for lacking consistency with the plot developments of the previous 3 episodes. Focus was primarily given to the game's action elements, and this resulted in uncertainty as to locales of many of the levels. Was Doom Guy still in Hell, on Earth, or somewhere else? Hi guys, thanks once again for watching. I hope you enjoyed learning about the development and plotting of Doom as much as I did when I was researching for the video. The second part to the video should be up soon, so hit the bell icon to be notified as soon as it is. I'll be covering several other parts of the game, as well as the sequels that have been released since DOS Doom. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, subscribe for future videos, and let me know in the comments whether you have played any of the versions of Doom that I've covered so far and what you actually thought of them. Hope to see you guys back for the next video, but until next time, game on.